Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Jim and Sam Town Square, or should I say a very, very special Jim and Sam Town Square. We've had Sam on the podcast, and now we can finally say we've not only got Jim, but Mrs. Jim Norton. We got to know Nikki more. Chris, I mean, we love when we had Troy. Miguel was great. Like when we do these, we love recapping the show, but we do these interviews, like it's just such a blast to do them. And Jim and Nikki were amazing together. We found more out, not just more about Nikki, but we tackled the terms of service argument with Jim.
Yeah, we really got that in depth with Jim on that, and just being able to chat with them directly is so cool. And Nikki is just fantastic. She was really, they have such a cool relationship, and she's real honest too. She's like, she's looking for friends that maybe aren't Jim's friends, and I'm sure it's kind of lonely at a certain point too. So yeah, they're very forthcoming and honest. And I think that's the best thing about their relationship is that honesty. They're real and they have a real relationship. And we love the time we spent with Jim and Nikki.
We have two very special guests here in the town square, everybody. Joining us now is Mr. Jim and Mrs. Nikki Norton, everyone. Thank you guys so much for being here. Chris and I, anytime you put out a new YouTube show, we make sure to mention it. It is so natural and hilarious. And I know all your fans, Jim, love it. And now they're also fans of Nikki.
Some of my fans love it. Some of my fans think that I've lost my mind and hate me now. But yeah, it feels like I'm happy with what we're like. I like it. Like I look back at it and I'm like, I like what we've done. Is this the right one?
No, yeah, we had it on last time.
We did it like this, though.
It goes on the long one. I know it looks bizarre, but it really does.
All right, you put it on the long one. Oh, that looks great. The Grinch?
There's something. No.
Oh.
There's a device here in our Christmas thing. I remember now that it's supposed to go under this one.
Oh, I see.
Like a little spiral thing or something.
That's helpful. Oh, I know what I was thinking of too. I had wanted to mention something. Like it's just showing our lives. And Nikki and I talked about possibly doing a show. Do we want to do a show? And one of the production companies said to us, it's got to be leading up to something. That's what it was. Where, hey, maybe at the end of it, you guys are getting married, and this whole time, Jim, you're trying to get a special shot. And I said, no, I'm not going to cheese dick my way into a special. Hey, my wife is transgender. Can I do a? So we rejected that idea because it felt self-serving. Like our show is about us. It's not about me coming out and doing a special.
I have to say, though, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I get it. But Jim is very much, he wants this to be open and honest and raw and authentic. And I'm like, Jim, if they put a little cherry on top with your stand-up, just do it. Be funny.
You guys are so good at just being yourselves. That's why Scott and I love your show, Jim, is because your honesty, right? It's just, you're going to be completely honest with whatever you're talking about. And what you're doing on your YouTube channel is honesty. You're showing your lives as they are. And Scott and I have talked about on this podcast, how your interactions sometimes can be harsh, but with love. I mean, it comes from, hanging the pictures on the wall to even maybe when the tables are turned and you're spilling some salad on the kitchen floor. You guys always just have the love, but you're harsh. My wife and I have kind of the same relationship where we are just giving each other grief and we challenge each other on stuff. But people around us that don't know us think we're headed for divorce. Has anybody ever questioned your relationship going, those people argue way too much or they nitpick each other?
A lot of people, when I call Jim a fat ass, they literally think, oh my God, how can you say that? I would never call my husband fat.
Yeah, but it's funny, they never say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they think the interaction sometimes, it's like, again, we've been together for years. Nikki's my best friend. So it's like, we have fun together. And yeah, I can't interact any other way with a person. I couldn't have married a fragile person. And I don't think she could have either, because she can be very harsh and very to the point.
We have fun with each other.
Yeah.
We are sarcastic. I think we share a lot of the same humor I've learned throughout this relationship.
Yeah, I noticed on one of your videos, Nikki, I thought it was great. I think you were singing Goldfinger, and it was a true moment. You just started laughing. And we don't get enough of you laughing on these videos. It was great. It was just, I really appreciate seeing this really true character. And of course, all the crap you give Jim is, we love that part.
Oh, I do feel a little stripped sometimes because I mean I have been naked on camera and stuff before, as we know, but doing this I feel more naked. I would rather, have everything just like I used to. I would feel more comfortable. It's weird how I'm in this situation and it feels more uncomfortable than doing the helicopter.
And I'll say that to her sometimes too. Like, I'm like, Nick, the hard part is done. Like, this is easy compared to that. Like, this is very easy.
Not that this feels uncomfortable, but this feels more uncomfortable than that. So it's all an adjustment to me, a weird adjustment too.
And I'll I'm sorry, Nikki, I interrupt. These Zoom things stink for interviews. Right. I apologize. Do you think that, Jim, maybe that's because you have told us so much about yourself throughout time that everybody knows who you are? But the private parts of Nikki are just not exactly the private parts, but the private self of Nikki is now being exposed. And maybe, Nikki, that's why you feel a little bit more, nervous about that, because it's your internal, it's your emotion, it's your soul that you're kind of putting out there.
I think you're very right. Jim's a little overprotective.
A little bit. I mean, but I think it is also, we were so quiet for so long that when you start talking about things that are not even a big deal to talk about, but just because you haven't, it feels foreign. But it's not like there's anything we're worried. Oh no, don't say that. It's not about that at all. It's just you're revealing your private life. How much do you keep private? How much do you reveal? And I'm much more used to it than I think Nikki is. I think
everyone sees how entertaining Nikki is now from the show, and that was a part of, kind of like you said before, Jim, of doing the YouTube show. But how much of it also, the thought to do it, was that we are also just going to show people, like, it's like any other relationship. It's a completely normal relationship like anyone else.
That's kind of what the goal of it was. Like, and I know, again, networks don't want to hear that. They want some wacky goal. But it's like, no, the bottom line is everyone yammers about transgender stuff and nobody just shows you just a couple living a regular life. Like, and I guess that's not crazy enough or sexy enough or goal-oriented enough.
It's like I said before, we're still at a point where no one's marrying them, or so to say. No one's marrying people like me. Jim married me. It's crazy to me. But I guess that's becoming more and more normal now. But yeah. I can't think of any person who's married one. I've gotten 2 messages in my Instagram from other trans people who are married. So that's nice to see, but it feels very new.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's plenty of married couples. You just don't see them represented as much. And if representing ourselves, we wanted it to just be like, yeah, like us or don't like us based on how we interact and whether or not you think we're fun to watch, not with some shit political agenda, which I'm zero interest in pursuing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want someone to automatically write us off because you hear that thing they said. I want it to be like, those guys are great or they suck, but not anything else.
You've mentioned how you've talked about in the past that many people like yourself tend to keep that part of the relationship private and aren't out there like you guys are. And you said we would be surprised at how many, celebrities and all that kind of stuff are in that situation. I think the value in what you guys are doing is exactly what you talked about with and Nikki mentioned is that you're doing it, and it's out there, and people can really, you don't have to preach about it. I know how much you hate about that, but people can learn about what a real relationship is like. And it's, same as many other relationships out there.
I think so. Yeah. And that really is, we discuss the same things. Well, the whole life we live together is not running around the house going, all right, look, there's children down the hall. Let's indoctrinate them. Like, it's not what we think of. It's not the topic of conversation in the house. Is not all this ideological
stuff. But it is weird
stuff.
To be trans. I went to Equinox. I had a membership at Equinox, and I went into the lockers and stuff. But obviously, that's not a space that I can get naked in. So I would have to just get naked and undressed in the shower. And I'm paying a lot for this. And I just think to myself, you know what? I shouldn't be getting naked in the shower if I don't have my own complete locker. So I just gave up my membership because I feel like, how do I know that these people in this space didn't sign up for that? So I gave up my membership. It's still a little weird to be trans, but obviously I couldn't get naked there.
Yeah, I mean, like I would have been fine with it if you did.
Well, I wouldn't be fine with it. Maybe some people would be fine with it, but I think that's crazy. Maybe we're at a point now soon where we'll have our own lockers and own sports, own swimming factions.
Nikki is very respectful of those. We had discussed that, and she's very respectful of those spaces and like saying, like, look, I don't, it's like we're still in this really weird time culturally. I think we're figuring out exactly how we're going to move forward.
Even if it's legal for me to get naked in that locker, I just don't agree with that. That's just me, I guess.
Yeah, strides have been made, but there's still a lot of things to get figured out and make yourself feel comfortable,
I just feel like what I've seen from trans people, everything is so extreme and, lugging around tampons, and it's just not realistic. It's just not the truth. It's not the situation. So I like to speak honest about it and open about it. I enjoy it.
Nikki, how long ago did you meet the guys on Jim and Sam? All the guys on the show?
Years.
Oh my God. I met all of them like in Montreal. I think it's the first, just for laughs. It was the first time I met Sam.
Oh.
He still had hair then.
Was that 2018 or 2017?
So
Years ago. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, Troy was there. Sam was. Yeah, I think it was in Montreal. And
Jim
I think
McClure was there.
I don't know if he was there back then.
Yeah, he was there. We had a huge dinner at Avra in Montreal, and all the people were there.
And then also, she met the radio agents. My manager, Jonathan, she met years and years ago.
Bob Kelly is such a sweetheart. I love Bob Kelly.
Yeah, Nikki's met all my friends.
Sam's wife, I love. She's the sweetest.
I mean, it's newer to us, but like you said, it's been 5, 6, 7 years, of all this stuff. And it's just, sometimes you guys forget that it's, oh gosh, we forget it's been that long. And you also forget that we just are kind of learning about it too, right?
Yeah, but for us, we have just a long history. I mean, it's so funny. We have videos from 5 different countries. I mean, we've been to Iceland.
To 8 countries?
No, I mean
Switzerland, Iceland, Amsterdam, Norway,
Italy, Paris. Obviously Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver. We've been to a lot of places, and we took a lot of it. We have a lot of footage that we kind of want to, just like any other dumb couple, just put stuff out about your life. But I'm glad people are responding well to like the humor in it and to like, hey, I like you guys interacting. I like what you're doing, and not one person has accused us of trying to message either way, because I despise messaging. Anyone who says platform and messaging is fucking annoying and it sucks and it's jargon. And that's the last thing we want to do. We want to live and die on people like us or don't like us for who we are.
That's really cool. And Jim, you and I are roughly the same age. I turned 55 in June. And so I have an older dad, and he fought in World War II. And he was stationed in Norway, Nikki. So there's kind of a little cool thing that I guess the King of Norway was exiled, and when the war was over, they brought him back, and so he inspected the troops. So he has this picture with all that kind of stuff. So
do you know where in Norway he was?
He was in Oslo.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, a beautiful country.
Did he tell you about it?
He passed away in 97. He did mention a little bit about just how beautiful it was at night, when you're there and you have the midnight sun, I think he called it, or something like that, where it's just, it's almost daylight at night. And he just mentioned that a lot too. So that was kind of cool.
I hated the midnight sun. It was 11 o'clock at night, and I was just sitting there looking out the window in the sun. I'm like, this is just creepy and weird. I didn't like it.
I love Norway. Norway will forever always be in my heart. I'm very, very proud to be Norwegian. I love everything about Norway and my culture, but the people have to wake the fuck up. I mean, when I was on the plane back home to Norway, I could just feel the entire vibration in the room change. Just muggy faces, and it just made me It's the whole people. They don't like talking to each other. They like to keep to themselves. You really have to get loaded and piss drunk in order to have a conversation with these people. Bye, not interested. So when I was home last time, I actually felt physically ill. Physically ill.
So you made the right choice for yourself to be with Jim here, and you made the right choice for yourself to be with Jim in New York and stuff, and just
made my life. It's crazy. He's made my life. I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for Jim.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what a couple should be, right? Like you make each other's life better. And
I make yours better?
No, but I'm saying I do sense that will happen.
So when are we going to hear Nikki on the radio show? When's that going to happen?
I've never been in the Sirius building.
Do you know one? We actually were going to do, because Nikki is unironically thinks Sandy Kane is funnier than Carlin and Pryor.
Amazing.
Love Sandy Kane.
She legitimately loves Sandy Kane, and we would watch Sandy's.
Hey man, I love her. She's so funny. I love her. She's an inspiration.
For years, I've been literally listening to fucking "I Like Dicks" because Nikki listens to it with not trying to be
the Queen from Queens Astoria. I've been listening to her music for what? Since I found out about her.
Years. So I always wanted Nikki to meet Sandy because I think Sandy would appreciate that. And we talked about having Nikki come in and Sandy. But we're traveling tomorrow. So in the next few weeks, because Sam, of course, and Jess are having a baby. So in the next few weeks, we want to bring Sandy and Nikki in together. But Nikki first, but then have Sandy come in. But that was why we haven't. And also, they don't film stuff at Sirius. So I'm like, if we're doing interviews, we kind of, I don't want to just sit there with 2 iPhones.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Nikki, I owe you so much gratitude because one of my most favorite things of the Jim and Sam show is Jan Terri. And you brought that to us through Jim. And boy, of course, we're in Chicago anyway. So that craziness of all the things that she's doing is right there in the top of our list. But I've never laughed so much. You can ask Scott. It's my favorite part of the show over the last couple of years. So thank you.
The thing with Jan Terri that is underrated is that her hooks are always lit. They're always great. She's a good artist. I don't care what anyone thinks or says. She's making more hits than anyone else. And as soon as she starts going towards that hook, you can feel it through the shitstorm of the shit, because the first verse is not. But once the hook, what's that one? Gobble, get down, goblin. Isn't that a great song?
Yeah, they're earworms for sure. And her
when I was 13.
Her speech impediment makes it even better. So yeah,
she has the same one as Pacino. Forever, like if Pacino says his R's strangely, I really want, like there's something. And when you listen to Jan Terri, she kind of has that same. But yeah, she turned me on to the I don't want to lose. That was the first one.
The only thing
that matters.
I saw the trench coat and I saw the fucking belt tied. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah, it's from our era too. It's in the late 80s, early 90s too, right, Jim?
He's like, I want to say like 94, 95. Yeah. Marilyn Manson's a big fan of hers.
That's
Flew
crazy.
her out years ago, had her do a party where Get Down Goblin, I think, was the song. I've texted with him about Jan Terri. I can't stop. But I'll tell you what I love too is she covered I Think I Love You. I honestly love you. She covered
Olivia Newton-John, right?
Her version is better than Olivia Newton-John's.
Yeah,
it's a little more upbeat.
Yeah, her fucking Olivia Newton-John's version is all slow. I love you. Shut up. I want Jan Terri fucking barreling straight through.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, before I turn it over back to Scott, because I always kind of monopolize these interviews and I apologize. You're we're the same age. So your references of movies and music, everything that you reference, I'm like, yeah. And then Scott is like Sam and Travis's era. So he's always liking the 90s rap and whatnot. I'm like, no. This stuff is good. You got to love Jaws. Scott has a really appreciation for it. But when you say things that just resonate with me, I'm so happy that, we're in the same boat.
Yeah. Sometimes you do a reference and I'm like, I need Anthony for this. He's at the right age. I mean, Anthony was such a movie like sponge. He soaked in everything. But there are like just references from films that I knew he saw. That like I knew that people who are 15 years younger just haven't, you know what I mean? It's just too weird of a, I'm not going to do a Panic in Needle Park joke for, somebody who's 39. They're not going to get it.
But Jim, your new intern, a young man who seems like a film historian.
Anthony, yes.
Anthony seems like he's going to be able to rap with you on movies.
Yes, I like him a lot too. Because first of all, he looks like that lunatic from American Horror Story, the one who like got into like the fucking. Didn't he get into the coffin with the nun and burn himself? I forget what, but yeah, he's great. We just started talking to him, and he's got like a really. He's definitely has a lot of knowledge about films, and he's comfortable engaging. So yeah, I think we're gonna have a really good time with him.
The thing that I think we and other people that are fans of the show love about the YouTube series, and Sam's talked about this recently, is that you see things on a YouTube show that Jim has talked about months, if not a year ago. And it is so cool to remember it and then see it happen. Are we going to see the Hornets fly behind the Gene Simmons poster and that fight or no?
Oh, do we have footage? We might have some footage of that. We do have footage. It's funny. We referenced an argument that we had recently where Nikki came back from Norway. It was the first day we launched the YouTube show. And I was just trying to work on a couple of thumbnails and so I was panicking, and she came
panicking?
back.
Come on.
Can I tell the story though? I went to Norway for a week for Christmas because my grandfather is sick. So I went home, not for leisure, but to see my family. And I come home from this international trip, 8-hour flight, 3 hours to New York traffic. I come home, I'm excited outside the door, keys. For 15 minutes straight, this is Jim on the computer. After I've just come home, like there's zero emotion. It's like a brick wall.
Hands.
And I just got furious. And just the fact that he didn't even acknowledge, never would I accept that again, ever. I'm not going to go on international trips and not have my husband hug me when I get home immediately.
All right.
And I want to see the hard-boiled egg issue as well. I don't know if you have footage of that. I think Nikki was hard-boiled eggs and the water evaporated and started burning the pot. You remember this one?
We have that. We might have some of the Hornet though, a little bit.
Hornet?
Yeah, we do. We do have we were filming something.
I don't remember this.
Yes, remember there was a bee behind the Woody Allen poster, and I had to.
Oh, that's
You ruined the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ruined the wall because I was taking the poster off, and you were so shitty about it. Watch the fucking wall. Meanwhile, I'm worried about getting stung. But the argument after the Norway, when she was so upset.
I cried for hours.
It was literally, it was like it was being married to Harvey Keitel at the end of The Bad Lieutenant. Just fucking a mental collapse. But I did apologize. I wasn't shitty about it.
He
I was
also
like,
didn't tell his sister he got engaged when he did.
we make mistakes. I'm distracted. I forget to tell family.
He's a weird, strange man.
When Jim travels, he has a lot on his mind too. So traveling to go see your family, that could be.
Yes.
Like Jim doesn't book his own tickets, flight tickets. He gets, he pays for the accommodation, but he can never ever relax. Oh my God, I'm stressed. Oh my God. All the time, every single second. And I'm like, Jim, just unwind. What are you doing? You're sitting on the plane. You got your seat. Everything's fine. Worst person to travel with.
By the way, a Zen motivational speaker, I'm always calm, Nikki, is making me want to throw my laptop out the window.
I did yoga today.
Yeah, exactly. For 5 minutes. No, you panic as badly as I do, just about different things. Like she's good in travel. She's a great traveler. She doesn't give a shit. She doesn't care if it's raining, if it's going to be bumpy. She can sleep. She doesn't care. We panic about different things.
So I'm a lot like you when it comes to traveling by car. I have children that live across the country. So if they're visiting us or we're visiting them, there's an app that I can look into highway travel and the weather that's going to be happening at certain points along the trip. Because you can look at what's happening in Chicago and then what's happening in New York. But if you're going to drive in between there, it tells you, you'll have some snow in Cleveland or whatever it is. So I am the same way. And I give like the kids weather reports like, you better leave on Thursday at 7 versus Thursday at 10 because, that kind of stuff. So
you could also see about the road. I used to do that when I was going up to see her in Canada when I had to drive through the Adirondacks and then I would do radio, be finished at exactly 11 o'clock or 10:50, hop in the car, which I would park uptown, drive directly to Montreal. So it was a 6-hour drive every Thursday. And I would go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday morning I would drive home at like 9 a.m. And the Adirondacks in the winter sucked. So what app do you use? I was using either just the weather app, and I use FlightAware when I fly.
I don't know. I'll have to send it to you. I think it's just called Drive.
But it gives you weather reports along your drive.
Yeah, it shows you the route, and then I'll have icons if it's raining here, if it's snowing here, if there's wind there. So I'll get it to you, and I'll show it. Make sure you see it and that kind of
Chris,
stuff.
you should send Jim weather tips, and he should send you travel tips.
I appreciate that.
You guys know what's going on. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Scott. You make fun of guys like us, but I'll tell you, when you get, I feel like we're getting old. When you get to our age, you have to worry about these things because you have to plan things out. I'm a planner. That's why I've worked in television. You have to plan things out, Jim, and you feel more comfortable. You can relax if you know what's coming up before it happens, right?
I just travel and turn everything off.
Yeah, she doesn't care. It's crazy. She just shows up. But that's also a control thing.
Yeah.
Like I have to control, and there is a part of me.
Absolute control freak.
And that's what a lot of the weather stuff is with the pilots. I actually bought a turbulence app, where you open it on the plane, and it actually helps a little because you see like the meter going, and it feels bad, but you have it on your leg. And I'm like, it's really mild turbulence, and I'm just panicking for no reason.
That's also why he
Stop pointing.
pees, sniffles, and blinks, because he's a control freak. I don't think
That's
it's
not
real.
why I blink.
I don't think it's real. You're just a control freak.
It's real.
First of all, that's a terrible impression of me. It's not a good impression.
He's like that all the time, and I'm like, but when he sleeps, nothing. Come on, it's just his mind.
I'm a fellow CPAP guy too, so I know.
I can't use mine. It just sits there like
How
a
is
decoration.
that for you? Do you use your sleep apnea machine?
I do. I have the nose pillow ones. I think you have that kind of same one, Jim. It just goes around your nose and it comes up here, but the output of the air or input of the air comes up the top. So if I lay on my side, it has free access to.
Why does your mouth not fly open?
He can never use his. Ever.
I had that sensation when I first started doing it, and I just kind of built it up over time. And it started because I was always snoring, and my wife was just getting mad. She'd punch me in the middle of the night, like, "Why are you hitting me?" She goes, "You're snoring." I'm like, "Well, don't hit me. Just nudge me nicely."
Did you get better at like your mouth not flying open?
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
How long have you been using the mask?
I would probably say about 4 years. Yeah.
Do you?
I wish that Jim would use his.
I know I was doing great for a while, but I get so congested. It's boring. But I mean, by the way, there's one of them they just said has been. Oh, you know about that? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, you and I use the same brand, the ResMed one, and I just really like the nose pillow things, and it just kind of it works. It works, and I feel so much better. Because, I didn't have bad apnea. I wasn't like holding my breath like they say it is. And this is real interesting to a lot of our viewers. I appreciate it.
But it's a terrible sleeper.
But yeah, it does help. And I'll be happy to share any of that kind of stuff with you too, because I think it's been great. So I really enjoy that. Scott, please bail us out of this stupid talk.
I got something I want to ask Nikki. Nikki, Jim has said you're a ham. You obviously love doing the YouTube show. We love it, as we said. But now that you're doing interviews with Jim and kind of to promote the YouTube show, do you like doing those interviews? Because you seem very social, like to entertain.
And you're great in them too, by the way.
Thank you so much. I do. I really enjoy it. But sometimes I get really like lightheaded, and I'm feeling like I have to pee, and I just completely.
That's a Jim in you, by the way. Just
it's transferring.
Yes.
But I have a moment where I completely just freeze, and I can't even follow the room. So that happens. But I guess that's a natural thing. But I love doing it. It feels new. It feels a little scary sometimes, but. I mean, I think it would be hard to not be public in this relationship.
Do you think that will transfer over? I think you're thinking about doing Cameo, or you're on Cameo now. Do you think that you'll feel more comfortable in doing those because they're like pre-recorded and you can change them and edit them? I guess.
I'm going to love doing Cameos. I just created a Cameo. I haven't gotten one yet.
Well, you did get one.
I got one from Chip. But when I do get a Cameo, I think it's going to be hi.
She'll be great at them because she's so good at bullshitting. I'm so happy for you. No, you're not.
It is so perfectly made for Nikki. Yes, because she has all those things. Plus, she can talk about anything that somebody wants to talk about. Like, do you think this? I talk about the shirt that he wears. Well, what kind of shirt is it? Is it made out of this fabric? All the high class things that Nikki knows about will be perfect for people on Cameo.
It's going to be very exciting to do a Cameo.
Yeah, it's fun to do. I mean, they're very easy. You make a few dollars, and it's like it adds up. I mean, all of a sudden you save and you save and you save it, and then you're like, oh, I got enough to buy something now. It's definitely worth doing. I never take that money for granted, and I get lightheaded sometimes. Like being a little nervous during an interview or whatever, it's part of it.
Well, I did the Whitney. That was my very first one, the Whitney Cummings podcast, and that maybe because I knew her, it felt more. But like if it's someone that I've never seen before, it just doesn't feel, I guess, real to me because I can tell as soon as the camera's on, it's hello, let's talk. Like I can just immediately but that's just not authentic to me. So I'm like, wow, here it goes to show, I guess, and that's just how I feel. But when I did Whitney, it didn't feel that way. Because then we're just rolling and it's just happening and
Well, it doesn't come off that way at all, Nikki. You look very comfortable and you engage, and unlike myself, you know when to jump in and say what you want to say, and it's nice. It's a true it goes back to the same things you guys are doing on your channel. It's a true conversation. It's not like Jim's going to say this and then I'm going to have my script and say this. We're going to talk. We're going to have a conversation.
You have no talking points. I mean, we wouldn't be good at that.
Speaking of talking, I have to ask about a argument that took the nation by storm, Jim, with the terms of service discussion with Travis. everything has seemed like everyone is getting along great now. Obviously, you've got good friends forever, but I think people that blew up to the listeners and people called in and talked about it online because I don't think you have been as angry. You guys have gotten along so well. You haven't been as angry since like the days with Opie. Was that just that frustration about Travis not looking it up? Did something happen before? Why'd you get so worked up, I guess?
Honestly, it was really funny people's reaction to that. And I mean, I didn't give a shit that they were mad at me for it at all. Like, I mean, meaning the listeners.
I'm sorry, but what did you say?
Me and Travis just had a stupid argument on the air.
Yes.
But it was so, like, I wasn't even that angry. I mean, I was like, I've been way angrier at other things, like with other people. I was annoyed. But I was just mad that my producer, I thought, wasn't doing something I was asking him to do.
But Jim, but in Travis' defense, Jim will ask every time we're in a store, he will ask the cashier 8 questions, extremely specific.
Yeah.
So I can imagine Travis scrolling through the terms of service and not finding it and just Jim getting annoyed. I think that's what happened, right?
And the cashiers can never answer my question. I'm like, why am I
And
married?
I'm just on the side. Why are you even asking this? Do you have it? Like, you just the weirdest question. I can't even think of it. It's just and I don't know why you ask. Like, you're wasting everyone's time.
All right, my wife is a Travis cuck. All right,
Can I ask you this? Because you might have.
I support you in this.
I was annoyed, but I was nowhere near as angry as people think. And what was very funny to me is like, it was so done for me right after that or the next day because I've been through real fights on the air. And I've been like, so this was nothing. And the fact that people were like, what the? Like, people were shocked that like in the universe that we've survived in radio wise, that like somebody on air and the producer get into a scuffle and like people are shocked by that. Like, are you out of your fucking, have you not been listening for over 20 years? This stuff would happen on a daily basis on O&A.
Were you and Travis okay right after?
Yeah, or the next day it was so, it never bled into anything personal. I love Travis. And I've told, when Sam and I were coming up with the idea and I knew I was leaving, one of the things that I absolutely went to the company with and said is a mandatory is that Travis has to be a part of the show I do. It's mandatory. It wasn't negotiable. And they didn't want to get rid of him. I'm not saying they did, but it was just up in the air. It's like, okay, what is this thing going to be? And I think that was something I had discussed with them before Sam was even named as the co-host. Like, Travis has to be involved with it because I liked him on the air. I was comfortable with Travis. He was, you know what I mean? So it was like, our history is really great. But the people that got very angry at me for a dust up with the producer who I've known for 20 years. I mean, I wasn't going to come out and explain that.
I don't know exactly what happened. Did everyone get mad at Jim or Travis?
Me.
I think maybe they thought Jim was a little hot under the collar, but I think that what the other thing that made it noticeable is Travis was a little quiet after. He just was. And he's not used to maybe that being in the fire, kind of how you are and the co-host. But I mean, you guys obviously get along and everything. Yeah.
I tell you one thing about Travis. Travis is very comfortable, more comfortable than a lot of the other guys that we've had in different positions at being confrontational. People don't understand that about him. He's not meek when it comes to that stuff. Travis always will stand up for himself. He's never a bullying victim. Travis will always stand up for himself and tell you, he did it with myself, he did it with Opie, he did it with Ant. He'll always tell you things whether you want to hear it or not. If you say something that he doesn't think is right, I mean, even off the air, he'll go, well, no, you did ask him. Like, he's very, very sure of his point. So Travis is not a meek guy.
I can take Travis's side because Jim is an infuriating debater. I mean, we will have arguments at times where I'm crying and he will debate me on the fact.
See the hand?
No, but that's what he'll do. I'll be bawling and he'll be debating me. Like, for what?
Jim can also stay very calm though. Like your Lindy West debate on cable TV and a certain call. Like Jim is that's one of his.
But when he is calm, when his wife is bawling and he's debating the emotional state,
it's hard sometimes.
I can't think of anything more worse. It drives me fucking crazy.
Yeah.
As long as you guys have been together, Jim, it's still kind of new, right, Jim? And so you've had this demeanor where you are logical in your arguments. And if it's to Nikki, you kind of forget, oh, this is the person I love. And I got to be more sensitive to that. I kind of noticed, that Travis kind of shut down, and both Scott and I have worked in, in television and being producers as well as some talent. And there's some times where the talent has to focus so hard on something that they're doing. I hate that word talent. I know you probably do as well. That the producers have to kind of, do more for them. And then there's sometimes where talent has more expectations than are really deemed like appropriate for a producer. I can see it, Travis can be a smug shithead. We all know that. We can see it on air. We can hear it on air. So, it's great.
Yes, it can be.
and that's what I think I love so much about the show. And I've talked to Scott about this many times. My favorite shows, most of the time, are when you don't have guests in and you guys are just kicking around and talking about things and getting Troy involved with his legendary status and Travis talking about, all the smug things that he will share. And then Montone comes in with his, of course, very Montone-like, that vocabulary. It's just great. It's my favorite part of the show is just when you guys are just kicking it around a little bit.
And as far as Travis getting quiet, he didn't shut down. Travis did what a lot of us do after arguments. He just, all right, I'm not going to say anything else. And I can't do that because I'm on the air talking. But as the producer, he's able to go, all right, let's just and he also, I don't know, Travis wasn't browbeaten. Travis, I think, would have been very comfortable being more aggressive even. But he's like, all right, we're going to blow this up into something more. But I had to keep talking because I was on the air. But Travis wasn't like, he was like, all right, I'm going to shut the fuck up and I'm not going to say anything else and make it worse. But I think he was just making a calculated decision like, all right, we're going to let the argument go and that's it.
You tagged the end of the Christmas episode with the little, and by the I apologize to Travis. That was the last thing you guys said before you went on Christmas break.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. We all were like, yes,
What you said, but it was your fault.
But it was your fault. And our favorite episodes also are the Christmas episodes of Halloween. I got so much love for Jeff, the fireman, master of fish.
Oh, thank you.
How is that? Anyway, that was hilarious. But Christmas time, we were thinking we might have an added member of the Norton family. What's going on with the dog? Were you disappointed, Nikki, that you didn't get the dog for Christmas?
Little dog.
I really, really want a dog.
We heard the song.
Did you like the song?
I love the song. I love especially your special effects of the barking and all the producing that you did.
Thank you. I was on the terrace one day and I was just looking out in the view and Feliz Navidad came to my head and I was like, wait. And then I'm just hearing dog noises in my head. And I'm like, I just have to sit down right now.
It's a sign of good mental health.
And record this because it's in my head right now. Woof, woof. And I was just thinking, and I just had to get it down because if I don't have it in my head, it won't be finished. So I just did it. And I made that song in 2 hours.
It was great. And Troy even...
I think it was like a masterpiece that took weeks. That's very understandable. That was quickly put together.
I want a little dog.
All right, Nick.
And Troy even commented on the production level. So you're someone who's...
yeah. She did a good job with the layering.
I don't care what anyone
exactly.
says. I know it sounds good. So.
That's right. You knew it.
Of course, it was good.
But I think you're obfuscating the actual question. What's going on with the dog? Are we going to get a dog for the Norton family?
Eventually, maybe. Yeah. I won't. I don't want to walk a dog. Nikki says she'll walk it. I don't believe it.
I will walk the dog. I want a little sweet dog. I really need a dog. It's because I feel so lonely. I don't have any friends. I need a dog. It's important.
You do have friends, and you can. We might get a dog if.
And it's not easy to get friends when you're. I mean, I'm 26 and I'm married. It's just not easy for me to go out and find friends, even if it seems that way, because other 25-year-olds, when you're married, it just kind of changes and everyone knows it does. So that's where my life is too. I need a dog, and that will be my best friend.
And by the way, Nikki's not going out having friends. I don't want people to think that I'm saying stay in the house.
No, of course not.
I want her to go out and socialize.
But life has changed to the point where I'm not only going to be around old men or women, but it's just I can feel it. It's changed.
We thought you were going to make friends with the guy at the Kiss concert that was dressed up as you guys walked in on that video.
We were late. I almost missed the opening to Detroit Rock City so she could take a picture.
I enjoyed him.
I'll tell you what, Nikki, your personality and how everybody really is like, this is so cool and getting to know you. You're not going to have any issues. And of course, in that large city there of finding people that, you can gel with outside of Jim's friends. I mean, you can't, all Jim's friends aren't your friends. You'll find the people that are your people. And I have no fear in my mind that won't happen for you here soon, because you're really just, you're melting hearts and you're breaking into all these, these worlds of gyms and everybody. I hope everybody appreciates what you bring to the table. because we
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, that's my last question. Is that what kind of works for your relationship? I think Jim is kind of like me, where he has his friends, he does his stand up, but he also likes to be left the hell alone sometimes. And Nikki, you seem more social and outgoing. Is it good to kind of have that tug of war, personality wise?
I feel like a homebody, but also very spontaneous and manic. So when I get manic, I got to do it in the wind. I got to do it now. It's just how I work, I guess. So, yeah, when I'm manic, get it done, go out, do it.
She is good at being social, better than me. Like if I know people, but Nikki is good at talking to people. She'll have a drink and talk to people she doesn't know, and she makes friends a lot easier than I actually make them.
Jim just sits in the corner, and is fine with that, always.
Well, you make me sound like I'm some fucking incel.
No.
Jim just sits in the corner while I make
but like
love
when
to
we're
real
home
men.
in Norway, and Jim just sits in the corner and sleeps.
Oh, all right, here's why. Okay. Everyone's talking Norwegian. I don't speak a word of it. I like it. I'm like, talk your native tongue. I don't care. I go into the other room and I doze off because I'm so tired. But I'm like, talk to your family in Norwegian. I'm not going to just sit there and listen to them speak Norwegian. I don't know what they're saying. But I don't want her to speak English just for me when she's home. Talk to them in Norwegian.
But I'm a hostess. I like to host. I want to have a party. I want to have people over.
So, Jim, you mentioned your native tongue, and this will be the last thing for me, in Nikki's native tongue, I should say, Norwegian. Yeah. And you guys were talking maybe a week or two ago about your native tongue may be gassers. That could be the situation.
That is the language of love. That's my love language.
So I have two questions for you, and I apologize in advance. Do you feel like the smelly ones, when they leave your body, are hot?
At times, not only do I feel that they're hot, but on a plane, I've actually felt them creep up my back. And I felt them actually exit my shirt collar. So yeah, I would definitely say there is a warmth to it as my body heat. They're actually bringing body heat with them. Yeah.
I flew with Jim once, and he farted on the plane in the front aisle. And the lady, flight attendant, she starts spraying. I was so
It's the second time in my life that's happened to me. It happened once while me and Florentine flew, and it happened once while I was on a plane with my wife.
And you're very proud.
I mean, literally, I know how people feel when their kid wins an award. When that fucking flight attendant came in and reacted.
Humiliating.
Yeah.
Have you ever done this? And I grew up with a bunch of guys that did this. We call it, you capture one. So we call it a cup of love.
Yeah, of course.
Get it in your hand and then give it to a friend.
I would you would fart into your hand and release it as if it was a bird.
Give it right to their friend and enjoy the, yes.
You're two men in your
Cup
50s.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. One of my friends did it in one of those old film canisters one night and then capped it. And then the next morning, it still had its potency.
Yeah.
That was impressive, I think.
Heroic.
Gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
It is. Just like these guys. I mean, gosh, I can't tell you how much.
Thank you.
You're the gift.
Thank you both for joining us. This is so great. It's great.
This was fun.
This was a pleasure.
Nikki. Thank you, guys.
It was so nice to meet you, Christopher and Scott.
Thank you, guys. And we'll definitely see you soon. And, it was good doing this. And thanks for doing the podcast. I really appreciate you guys doing what you do.
Our pleasure.
Very nice.
There you have it, Mr. Jim and Mrs. Nikki Norton, and they were so fantastic. They're very generous with their time. No surprise, Jim's honesty, as we've always seen with him throughout his career. Nikki's the same way. She is delightful, and they were just awesome. And thank you guys for watching and listening. And Chris, you are awesome. Thanks for everything you do, and great job with the interview, man.
Thanks, man. You are also awesome because you really helped get these guys to talk with us, which is fantastic. Yeah, what I liked most about them is that they talk to each other in a way that is a true relationship. And it was funny to see Nikki talk about being manic when we know the king of being manic is Jim Norton. So yeah, great time. Everybody, thank you so much for really, tuning in and supporting our channel. And I do believe, Scott, that there may be a couple more studio members that we need to get in the town square.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Jim and Sam Town Square. Please remember to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell, not dog bell, so you don't miss an episode.
And if you're just listening to the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it.